Today's session. Just really thank you for coming to this job. If you ever happen to miss a regular membership meeting, it is nice to sign into the website and have the opportunity to watch what you missed. So Don, we really appreciate you doing that. And a quick shout out to our sustaining members, all of our members, and of course everyone here today. Thank you. Your ongoing support keeps these conversations alive, helps us build stronger economies and healthier environments here in Sonoma County. Okay, before we dive in, does anybody know what's popping tomorrow night? Yeah, you guys, we have our 50th celebration happening tomorrow night, and there is almost 200 of us going to Sally Tomatoes for dinner. Special shout out to Gerard, my mayor, who also owns and operates Sally Tomatoes. Thank you for hooking it up. We're all excited to go. You guys, there's going to be live music, a beautiful award ceremony, delicious food. The vibe is going to be sky for us. Huge thank you to our sponsors that made the night happen. This is going to take a minute, so this is where you can take a quick nap. Okay, Exchange Bank, WSI, Fidelity, Adobe Associates, Samantha Paul Planning, Friends of Smart, Christopherson Builders, Brian Lang, Sonoma Clean Power, UCP, B&L Glass, Midstate Construction, BKF Engineers, LeDuc and Dexter Plumbing, ZFA Engineers, the CTE Foundation, Rob Mulerath, Sonoma Coast Living, GMH Builders, Facilities Development Company, aka FBC, Canyon Rock, Summit State Bank, BC Engineers, and our own North Coast Builders Exchange. Let's give them some love. Thank you for your time. Okay, before we get this party started, we're going to pass it over to Ty, our executive director, and she's going to run us through some introductions and other things. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome. I'm glad you guys made it here safely. It's kind of nasty out there, huh? All right. So, I don't know about you guys, but this week has been crazy, so I appreciate you taking the time to spend today with us and tomorrow for our 50th anniversary. It's been quite a shuffle, and we also have board applications coming out. So I have some gratitude to give before we start out for all the people that have helped me make this month of events happen. First and foremost, Ryan Kelly, our board president, thank you so much for being a partner all year, but especially during this time. To our board of directors who have stepped up to either call for renewals, help get some flowers arranged, or show up early to help set up. I really appreciate you guys. And if any of you want to be have me in debt to you, join our board. come fill out an application. I'm going to send an email out after today's meeting, and you can get the link there. There's also a link right here if you want to get your phone out. I hope to see phones out. Scan that QR code, join us. We've hit 50 years, and we're hoping for 50 more, and it'll be your leadership, your voice, your vision, your participation that will help us get there. So consider joining the board, fill out that application. And thanks in advance to our nomination committee, who is not done their work yet, but we will be convening soon to get through this process. So please do consider joining the board. And today we do have a program sponsor. I'm really excited to bring up Lisa Granio from the United Way of the Wine Country.
Good morning, everyone. It's really nice to see you, and thank you so much for braving the weather. When it rains in Sonoma County these days, I feel grateful for the rain. Just because, it cleanses, it refreshes, it brightens us, and heaven knows we need that today. So thanks so much for making the time. I also want to give a big shout out of thanks to United Way's team who's here, our board chair, Kevin Jones, board members, Jocelyn Lynn, Crystal Humphrey, Andre Moran, and the United Way staff who are here with me today, Suzanne Harris, Paco Cano, and Shannon Stalker. If you guys would please stand. Thank you guys for coming. Thank yous before I get into some important data that I think is going to maybe help to thread the needle between the information that I share and the information that the cities are about to share with you. Kevin, thanks for the centerpieces. Kevin Jones underwrote the window cleanings and the centerpieces. And thanks to our former board members and former staff who are also in the room, Ken LaFranchi, Janet Connors, and Kathy Goodacre. I start with thank yous because none of this happens. Access, opportunity, and resilience building across this region doesn't happen without what Ty just said. Connection, support, belonging building, and that's what United Way of the Wine Country is all about in our community. United Way of the Wine Country is a 57-year-old organization, but we are not the United Way that Henry Trioni and Henry's Angels founded years ago. Today, our focus is on economic security building and equity building in our region, and the work that we do with 211 and with our free tax assistance program, Earn It, Keep It, Save It, is what helps so many tens of thousands of families each year make ends meet and help build connection and build resilience in our community. Quickly, 211 Sonoma, we've responded to over 140,000 calls in the 6 years that we've been the administrator. You can reach 211 Sonoma by dialing 211, by texting 898-211, or our new asset as of the next few weeks, text food or text comida to 707-353-822, 3882. 211 is free to anybody. It's available 24 hours a day. It's secure, it's confidential, and nobody can get our data. We provide data support, data resources, all of the website resources to all of the community services that are available free of charge and available 24/7 through the 211 Sonoma website. Our free tax assistance program, hang on a second, let me go back. Apologies. Our free tax assistance program will be available in the spring. We're doing volunteer outreach right now. This has been giving us 100, man, I didn't realize. I really apologize. I'm using that this bad. No, here's my point. United Way is not the organization we used to be. We're a community impact organization that is focused on equity building, resilience building, connection building, belonging building, in a region that is incredibly vulnerable after years and years and years of disasters, economic disruption, and all kinds of other hardship that persists. And you know what I'm talking about. Today, our work is laser focused on getting resources to the most vulnerable in our community. And that includes putting money in their pocket through this program right here, our free tax assistance program. Please talk to Suzanne Harris and Shannon Stockton before you leave today if you want to volunteer or if you know people who need free tax assistance. And please share our 211 information with anybody who needs anything else. We received in the last month a 300% increase in our requests for food information. And that's really the needle that I wanted to thread for the cities today. If you all are confronted with greater and greater and greater need, please direct people to 211 Sonoma. Again, 24/7. It's anonymous, it's secure, and we have all the resources they need. So, thanks.
All right. We're going to bring this mic around for self-introductions, and we have some beer to raffle off today. We've got 2 4-packs. So if you are a guest today, please make sure to give me your business card, and we'll put you in a raffle to get some beer today. All right. It's good beer. All right, we're going to start here. Mark, kick us off.
Good morning, Mark Staff, Sonoma State University, and Santa Rosa City Council.
Good morning, Gerard Giudice, Mayor, City of Roanoke Park, where we're about to build a downtown.
Good morning, everybody. Marcela Villa, City Manager for the City of Roanoke Park. Pleasure to be here.
Good morning, Jason, Assistant City Manager, City of Santa Rosa, and excited to give you an update on what we're doing.
All right, I have three guests with me. If I say your name, please wave. Alex Carr, who is the owner and president of Healdsburg Chevrolet, Healdsburg Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. We have my friend Marty Pistone from Clear Blue Commercial. And we have Miles Hafner from Signal Signs and Graphics. Thank you guys.
Andrew Newsom, Edward Jones.
Good morning, Peggy Flynn, City Manager of Petaluma. Thanks for having me.
David Gibbons, City of Sonoma.
Jeff Kay, City Manager, City of Healdsburg.
Good morning, everybody. Damian Ovid, City Manager, City of Quezada.
You guys count. If you guys want some beer, give me a card here. You guys deserve it.
Good morning, David Brown, Adobe Associates, Civil Engineers and Land Surveyors.
Jamie Adams, and listen to everything come.
Sherry Granzada, Wine Country Radio. Linda Bones, Summit State Bank.
I know.
Paul Young, Exchange Bank.
Howard Dalton, past president, member of SCA GMM, and mostly retired.
Good morning, Ryan Bucksbaum, next one staff.
Good morning, Dick Dowd, past president, member of the board of directors.
Good morning, Greg Hurd with BKF Engineers. Arnie Dexter, Levivian Dexter and Super Service.
Good morning, Kurt Nichols, retired past president.
Hi, Kevin Zuko, CFA Structural Engineers. Happy guest. Ryan Kostag, an engineer from CFA Structural Engineers as well.
Pete Leskier Engineers.
Good morning, Russ Powell Consulting, Leadership Development. Kevin C., CPA.
Good morning, Steve Burlebo with Friends of Smart.
Tony Spizman with 707 Promotions, and I've brought my son as a guest. This is Marcus Navarro.
Nick Fry, Blood Winds.
Danny Sheehan, Friends of Smart board member.
Joe Gaffney, St. Vincent de Paul.
Good morning, Jim Wallen, Pep Housing. I have two guests, two board members, Harry Coffey, the chairman, and Adrian Anderson.
Carly Gomberts, Mid-State Construction.
Sam Rosacci with the Ronbar Group at Morgan Stanley.
Chuck Root, Double Eagle Financial.
He had to. Rob Sandville, KLH Consulting, and I am a board member. And a band leader. See us tomorrow night.
Morning, Aaron Smith with Adobe Associates.
Scott Kincaid, Facility Development Company in German State Bank.
All right, y'all gonna deal with me for a minute. My name is Eli Weinsmith. Good morning. I'm the Executive Director of CTE Foundation of Sonoma County. I'm gonna ask you to go on a quick journey with me today. Please close your eyes. I'm gonna ask you, some of you to think back a really long ways to high school. Others maybe not as far. But I want you to close your eyes. I want you to think about your favorite class in high school. What was that class? It probably didn't have a textbook associated with it. It was probably something that had you getting your hands dirty, that had you exploring your future, had you exploring your career. That's what CTE is. CTE is Career Technical Education, and we, the CTE CTE Foundation of Sonoma County are here working with all of the schools in Sonoma County to make sure that our students, your children, your grandchildren, have these opportunities to explore, to learn, and to think about themselves having a career here in Sonoma County. So, we have an opportunity for all of you to get involved today. We are rolling out a new program called Path to Purpose. It's a countywide internship program in collaboration with Sonoma County Office of Education, the County of Sonoma, and many of the Chamber of Commerces throughout the county. What I'm asking of you all today is, you're all small business owners or large business owners. We need internship placements. So come find me at the end of the day today. I would love to have a conversation with you about what career technical education is and how you can be involved in the future of Sonoma County students. Thank you.
Lee Christensen, Sonoma Clean Power.
Harry Davidian, Digital Sensing and Control.
Good morning, Tim Schramm of Adobe Associates.
Good morning, Ken LaFranchi, Architecture and Development.
Tom Swedhelm, candidate for 4th District Supervisor. And I've got a guest here today, the Santa Rosa, Chair of the Santa Rosa Planning Commission, Karen Weeks.
Good morning, John Cregan, Santa Rosa Chief of Police.
Jason Lee, Roseland School District.
Rick Carlisle, BKF Engineers.
Carrie Chambers, Exchange Bank.
Katie Dillwood, Christopherson Builders.
Lori Rodriguez, CPA, Dillwood, Berkland, Millar, CPAs and Business Advisors.
Good morning, Brian Long, Connected Outreach. Good morning, Rick Moran, Geology-based consulting engineer, executive board member, United Way of the Wine Country.
Good morning, Kevin Marks, CFA Structural Engineers.
Steve Clay, Bauer Associates, and President of the Board of Sonoma County Fire District.
Good morning, Janet Connors, Summit State Bank, past president, PAC member, and board member. And I have a guest this morning, Matt Lewis, who is our Roanoke Park branch manager.
David De Los Santos with TLCD Architecture.
Crystal Humphrey, Treasurer of United Way.
Good morning, Kevin Jones, Fast Signs of Santa Rosa and United Way of White Country Board.
Good morning, Lisa Carino, United Way of the Wine Country, and I have several guests. So Crystal Humphrey, Jocelyn Lynn, Burbank Housing, Suzanne Harris, United Way of the Wine Country, Shannon Stalker, United Way of the Wine Country, Paco Cano, United Way of the Wine Country.
Justin Hunter, Hall Construction.
Jules Island, River City Bank.
Mark Nelson, In-State Construction.
Jeff Rowland, owner of Vietnam Glass, and I'm a guest today. Bob Duffield is a financial advisor at Edward Jones.
Brian Stiles, Engel & Volkers, Real Estate, and Yanni.
Marlene Soyland Management.
Jen Collini, Leap Solutions, a division of George Peterson Insurance.
Larkin O'Leary, Common Ground Society, and I have a guest with me today, our new development director, Jennifer Douglas.
You guys have business cards in. Oh, you got it.
Conrad Hernandez, Fidelity National Title.
Diva Marie Proto, Sonoma County Clerk, Recorder, Assessor, no longer Registrar of Voters. And I have a guest today, Andrew Sturmfels, who is our Assistant County Administrator at the County of Sonoma.
And also former Assistant City Manager at City of Gilbert. David Hagley, Summit State Bank, and Council Member of City of Gilbert.
Nick Caston, Trustee of the Santa Rosa City Schools, right to say that academic excellence is our #1 priority.
Ron Edwards, Healdsburg City Council.
Eddie Ingram, Sonoma County Sheriff.
Rosie Padilla, North Bay Biz Magazine.
Damian Reddy, Wine Country Golf, and Center Line 33, your new pickleball clubs in Runner Park.
Kip Zook, Center Line 33, Runner Park.
Christina Hollingsworth, audit partner, Dillbrook and Millar, and also co-chair Community Foundation, Sonoma County.
Good morning, Julie Dempsey, Realtor.
Kathy Goodacre, independent consultant, advisor, and coach.
Kim O'Day, Fidelity National Bank.
Kyle Betancourt, CFA Structural Engineers.
Good morning, Tony Tisconi, Tisconi Event and Management Solutions, and a board member.
Good morning, Omar Lopez with Generation Housing.
Good morning, Mark Hale with Carl Macy.
Good morning, Jack Byrne, Navigating.
Good morning, William Miller with BC Engineering Group.
Buenos días, Paco Cano from 211 Sonoma County.
Good morning, Shannon Stalker from United Way of the Wine Country. I'm the volunteer recruiter.
Good morning, thank you so much for having us. Suzanne Harris, and I am the Community Impact Director for United Way of the Wine Country, overseeing family financial stability with all these amazing people, inviting you all to get hundreds of thousands of advocacy cards to be a volunteer or to get out to your client base. So come join us and head to the 110 million we have already brought back in refunds to our most vulnerable, and helping our undocumented population also get ready to file their taxes as a pathway to citizenship. So thank you so much.
Hi everyone, Jocelyn Lynn. I'm with Burbank Housing, but also a board member of the United Way of the Wine Country.
Good morning, Gary Lentz, Lone Depot Home Mortgage. I have with me, I was going to say an old friend, long time friend, 35 years plus. Welcome Robert Verhoef, who is the owner of Best Collateral, who owns pawn shops all over Northern California, including here in Santa Rosa. Robert Verhoef.
Mike Pickens, operating engineer, Zilver 3, and with the Smart Initiative.
Don Mills, Cuvée, Belgian Brewers.
All right, as I walk up to the front, I'll share some exciting news. Business Alliance Sonoma County is actually getting an intern from CTE Foundation in the next year and contributing directly to enhancing the workforce development here in Sonoma County. And I encourage everyone here, if you can have capacity, time, and passion to help, please get an intern, please apply. Come to Eli. All right, and with that, I'm going to pull a card here. Actually, I'm going to pull it. Mark, you're going to pull it. I know. I actually need to do it. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to count on bad eyes here. All right, so we're going to 3. Magic trick.
All right, we got Brian from ZFA. Brian. All right, we have Alex from Hillsburg. Auto? Hillsburg Auto? It's a complicated car. Come on up. Congratulations.
All right. You know, when Ty said, Brian, I have this great idea, we want to have all the city managers come out, 2 things came to mind. Number 1 was, have you ever seen a politician's bio? They're all so long. I was like, how are we going to have time to read all the bios? So kudos to all of the managers for getting us short bios. And the second thing was, we're going to give them each 5 to 7 minutes. And I thought, I have never heard a politician stay within the time frame, so good luck, and please stay within the time frame. All right, our first speaker of the day is Damien Obid, who is the city manager of Cotati, a role he's held since 2014. Born and raised in Marin County, Damien earned a BS in Marine Engineering from the California Maritime Academy and an MS in Civil Engineering from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. A registered civil engineer in the state of California, Damien's career includes 5 years in the private sector, followed by roles at the North Bay Coast Regional Water Quality Control Board and Sonoma Water. He joined the city of Cotati in 2008 as Public Works Director and City Engineer before moving into his current position. Let's all welcome Damien.
All right.
right, so good morning, everybody. Thank you.
Good morning.
Is there a trip to get the slide through?
Oh,
Just to bring it. Fancy, all right. So, thank you, Ryan, thank you, Ty. And so I just wanted to I will give you all a very short update on what's going on in Cotati. And I thought I'd lead with this picture. So this is a rendering of our Wanda Fletty Ranch. We're working on some new barns out there. And it's kind of funny because, as you heard in the bio, I'm an engineer, so I've spent most of my career doing that. And now I have on my asset inventory list, sheep and goats and chickens and all sorts of things I never thought I'd have on an asset list. We're one of the few cities in the state that I'm aware of that actually have an operating demonstration. So that's something you should know about Cotati. I'm very excited about it. And so through my time in Cotati, I've always heard, Cotati's not business friendly, it's anti-development. Stay the hell away from that place. And I'm here to tell you that is not Cotati today. We are very business friendly. We've spent years consolidating approvals, streamlining development, streamlining business processes, listening to our customers, and eliminating things that don't matter. So part of that is spending a lot of time talking to our residents, talking to our elected officials, what is really important to you and what's not. If it's not important, jettison it. Let's focus on what's important. We don't need to be putting unnecessary processes and unnecessary regulations in front of people. So clear standards, and we want to help you succeed. And a couple of years ago, we asked our community what was the most important thing to them, and it was housing, housing, and housing. There was literally nothing else close. So all the other issues you can think of at the time, they were almost like rounding errors at the bottom of the hole. But people needed housing. So that's what we've been focused on. So we've been focused on a bunch of supportive policies, removing unnecessary barriers, all in the goal of promoting housing. So unnecessary reviews are gone. I said, we've consolidated approval steps. We have mechanisms for rapid feedback, so you have a really low threshold to get in and get answers about whether what you want to do will work without risking a lot. So that reduces risk, cost, and gets you to construction faster. We do allow double density throughout the city. We also have priority development areas that have other zoning that have other incentives. For example, I'll talk about this in a second. This month we should be finalizing our transit-oriented community zoning around our train station, which has a whole bunch of other special zoning allowances. We're one of the first in the area that I'm aware of to have a first use zone. And then we've eliminated impact fees for high-quality lodging. This gets to economic development incentive and also a goal that we're trying to reach. And we also don't have impact fees for the affordable units in our multifamily developments. And then lastly, we have business and project liaisons. So whether you're a new business, an existing business, if you have any issues, you can come in, we'll assign someone that can help you navigate those things. If you're a development, we have a dedicated project manager that stays with you from the day you come in the door to the day your project gets occupancy. So from the tip to tail, so to speak. So this is what we've seen so far. So we're in the current, what's called arena cycle. So it's the regional housing use allowances where the ABAG assigns all the cities a certain number of housing units you're supposed to produce in that 8-year cycle. So our arena numbers 234 units. We've already approved almost 600. So we're already 2.5 times more than what our arena would say that we need to achieve. And we have, as I mentioned earlier, we have opportunity areas, our train depot, transit-oriented community area, our downtown, and our Highway 116 corridor. The council in Cotati has also been very committed to infrastructure. It's been a high priority. So it's been a lot of heavy investment in roads and parks. So a lot of things that improve the quality of life and also reduce future maintenance costs. So for roads now, we're in the 90th percentile for cities of our size in the Bay Area. And basically, rather than throw a bunch of stats at you that will make everyone glaze over, it's good. So our roads are very good shape. We've also, invested a lot in parks too. So when you combine our road and our park investments, and just in the last 5 years as an example, it amounts to an equivalent of about half of our general fund, which is the money that we use for public safety, parks, streets, recreation, general government. It's sort of the use-all. It's the fund that we use for basically everything. But if you look at the annual investment, it's equivalent to about half of that total revenue that we get in our general fund each year. And so we've gone on roads. We've gone from among the worst to among the best in Sonoma County. And this, and it's not just a stat. It also, when you have failing roads, it's very expensive. All the engineers in the room, I'm sure, will know. If you're having to fix failing roads all the time, it's a very expensive way to operate. But if your roads are in good shape and you're really doing maintenance, preservation, it's much more cost effective once you get over that initial investment bump. We refurbished 3 parks completely. We have more coming. We have a killer dog park. We have dogs. So yeah, it's not even done construction. There's people in there all the time. They're copying the tape in there. All right, so fiscal excellence, this is something we've also been very focused on. So we have an obsessive focus on cost control, and we conservative budget. We have 17 years now of balanced budgets, and if you do the math, you'll probably realize 2008, right? So that was a wake-up call, I think, for everybody, us included. And so we've been very focused on that since then. We are GFOA, is the Governmental Finance Officers Association. So we're a Triple Crown winner. That basically means that you win awards in your budgets, your financial audits, documents, and also your public communications. So it's clarity and fiscal and excellence in your reporting. So anyway, 6 consecutive years. If you're a CPA, this is a big deal. I'm not a CPA, but it is a big deal to me also. And also, we've maintained our general reserve over the last 5 years as a percent of annual operating expenses. We're at 90% of our, we maintain reserve at 90% on average. Okay, so the challenge is, and this I don't think is unique to us, and there's a lot of reasons for it, which I won't bore you with, but if you have to answer any questions, if you want to ask any questions about it. But sales tax continues downward slide. So it peaked out COVID. I think everyone was doing home renovations, doing a lot of online shopping. Once COVID passed, sales tax, and not just for Cotati, but I think we're seeing a more general trend where sales taxes drop. And for Cotati, that's 50% of our general fund, so it's a big deal to us. We're also the only city in Sonoma County without lodging. That ties back into the impact fee thing I pointed out for high quality lodging. So we have rising costs. I think everyone in the room can relate to this. Operating costs currently are outpacing revenue, so that's a medium term to long term risk for us. You have your operating expenses and your operating revenue. You want to keep those lines apart because everything if they cross, then you're in trouble. It's pretty basic. That's what we're trying to keep those lines apart. And it's driven a lot. We've seen a lot of increases in utilities, primarily PG&E, and insurance costs. They've been double digit year after year, much higher than inflation in general. And then Highway 116, this is a state highway, as you probably know. And it was an obstacle for a lot of projects to move forward. The state has other priorities than our priorities locally. So we had to take the lead with the state, and we're building these regionally serving improvements on 116 to basically unstick a lot of projects that were hung up because the state wasn't motivated to do anything, and the state's hard to work with, and developments just don't go forward. And so, in terms of opportunities, as I mentioned, we're business friendly, timely permit reviews, streamlined processes. We want to work with you and support your success. We have a lot of development opportunity areas in the TOC area that hopefully by the end of November we'll have even other enhancements in the zoning rules. And then that picture I led with the Ronda Fletty Ranch. Like I said, we're building new barns, and so we're looking for sponsors if anyone wants to sponsor some barns. It's a demonstration ranch. We have a lot of cool activities there for the community. It's a public ranch. Long term, we're looking to diversify business types in depth for greater fiscal stability and to a vibrant business community overall. And that's basically it. But come check us out if you haven't been to Cotati in a while. We have a lot of events going on. We have a lot of cool things going on. If you think you know that Cotati's hard to work with, that's old information. Because we want to work with you. So come to Cotati, and I hope you succeed.
All right, one down, 150 to go. All right, next I'm going to welcome to the stage Jeff Kay, our city manager for Healdsburg. Since 2021, Jeff Kay has served as city manager of Healdsburg, a full-service city with 9 operating departments, including police, fire, water, and a city-run electric utility. Jeff oversees a staff of 150 employees and a budget of $130 million. He previously worked for the city of San Leandro, serving as economic development manager, assistant city manager, and city manager during his 11 years there. Earlier in his career, Jeff worked as a project manager at Wilden Financial Services, supporting local governments with economic analysis and infrastructure financing. Jeff holds a bachelor's degree from Vassar College and a master's degree in city and regional planning from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Let's welcome Jeff Kay to the stage.
Okay, good morning. First off, I just want to thank the Alliance for having us here today and also share events like this remind me that I'm just proud to be a part of this group of city managers. Here in Sonoma County, we talk a lot, we support each other, we share information. It's a good group. I hope one thing we all take away is that your communities are in good hands. There's a lot of great people working for them. I think also you'll hear some themes today and hearing what Damien shared. There's a few things I'll touch on. I'll try not to be redundant, but I think that's kind of the point, right? Is that we'll pick up some of the themes that a lot of our cities, very different communities, and yet we're wrestling with a lot of the same things. So hopefully that comes through. So a few things I wanted to share about what's coming down the pipe for Stanley and for Healdsburg. I'm about to hit 5 years of this, so I don't think I've done that for about 10 years. But I was thinking as I heard that bio about some of the things that I experienced earlier in my career, and what I deal with now. And one of the points I was going to make is that in another city that was 8 times the population, when I came to Healdsburg, we got considerably more building and development activity. That was true when I got there 5 years ago. That's actually still true now. In the introductions this morning, I think I heard over half a dozen organizations that either are currently or going to recently been involved in building something in our community. So it is active. It would be impossible to share everything. But here are a few of the highlights I'd like to share. One is we're very, very close to opening the new Holy Family Community Pavilion. That's the image on the bottom right there. I can see this construction from my office window. A little bit behind schedule, but very close. I'm thinking, do I stand outside the construction site in the morning now? When I get my coffee and scowl at them and try to get some but this is a huge investment of almost $12 million in the community, a lot of which was obviously a contribution from the Foley family. This will be the home of our farmers market and event space. We're already hearing from organizations that want to hold concerts there, that want to have fundraisers, community events, arts festivals. So just a huge new addition to our downtown and also expanding our downtown. A couple of other things that are coming, a ton of infrastructure. Just one of a couple dozen projects we're working on. The big one is a complete overhaul of much of Healdsburg Avenue, the main arterial through town. It feels a little bit like a highway in some places, which is not a best practice these days. And by taking away some of the travel lanes and adding protected bike lanes, housing, and from all of us, just a huge priority. Always have a couple of affordable housing projects in the pipeline. Just a couple that are coming really fast. We will be breaking ground, I think, in the spring. I think I heard somebody from Burbank Housing is here on Dry Creek Commons, which is 58 units of affordable housing, and they're very much under construction on an affordable housing project right here. Remember Hagley's neighborhood that came out of the Montage Hotel project a few years ago. Phase 1 is under construction at the north end of town, and overall that will be 118 units. That's just a couple of highlights. We always have a lot of housing in the pipeline, and we continue to build out. I mentioned a lot of development activity. The North Village is a mixed-use project with housing, with retail, with hotel at the north end of town. That bottom left photo is the brand new Appalachian Hotel which opened last month. You may all see a nice sunny pool scene, which might look pretty good on a rainy day. I see hotel tax revenue. Running. And at the far south end of town, the Mill District, again, retail, residential, hotel will break ground next year. So lots going on. This is just a few of the highlights. And one other project coming, which I think is worth mentioning, I asked our community development director for the prettiest, simplest graphic he had for this one. And there it is. What other are you looking at? Here's the point. Smart Train is coming to Hillsburg. They're targeting 28. This extension is funded. We are very, very excited. We have a historic depot, which is somewhere in the middle of all those colors you're looking at. And we have received recent planning funding, as many cities have, from MTC, the regional organization, over $1 million to update our planning in the area, and A, around that station, and B, at the south end of town. So if anybody knows Hillsburg, the bottom right of that map, we have what we call the South Entry area. This is a couple hundred acres of essentially undeveloped space in Hillsburg, freeway access just south of our bridge. Hamburg for a long time without having water, wastewater services, so there's some challenges. But suddenly now it finds itself within a half mile of a future transit stop, and we're really excited to begin this planning process. So people want to look at an opportunity at Hillsburg. I think you all know that's going to take some time to get through that planning process. The community will be involved. The environmental review will be extensive, but just an amazing opportunity here. Some things have changed with property changing hands and smart coming. So this is one of the biggest opportunities I wanted to flag today. We were asked to talk about what's standing in the way in our line of work. It's always funding. We heard a similar theme in Cotty. I looked at my slides. We did this last year. Same thing. You all know it because so many of our revenues come from businesses and business activity, but it's been stagnant for years at this point, and our costs are not. And this is just a challenge that we're all working through. Insurance goes up, salaries go up, healthcare goes up, and certainly all these projects go up, and revenues have been okay. I know that there are a lot of folks that are more challenged, but we're not seeing the growth that we'd like to do with it, and it's hard to know when that might change. Infrastructure costs keep going up. And here's a funding challenge that's really on my mind these days. It's tied to a success. In the last year, we saw homelessness in Hillsburg drop by 42%. In the last 3 or 4 years, we're down over 60%. It's not that long ago that I remember thinking of this challenge as one that we could never make progress on. It's just more money at it, more programs. And as a county, we are not the only city. The county is going down. We're finally starting to turn the corner on this. I'm very, very proud of the work that we've done, largely in purchasing an older motel and converting it to a transitional housing facility. It's working. And so that's a great story, but also that's happening right at a time when funding's drying up. The state is pulling back a lot of the funding for these programs. A lot of our funding flows from the state to the county to the city. The county doesn't get those funds, they can't give them to us. So I'm excited, I'm proud, and I'm also worried that if we can't keep the momentum, we do risk backsliding on that. So that's something that's a challenge, it's an opportunity, and it's something we all need to work on. And then probably the question I get the most this year is what's going hasn't been great for us. We had a huge grant for a water resiliency project. FEMA just canceled the program. I think personally, I guess they just canceled the whole program nationwide. There goes that funding. Now they have to find other funding. We had a couple of smaller grants from the FAA. We actually have a small airport in town that people don't know. That we've had to preserve, but had to fight for. Overall, a city of our size, the funding impacts haven't been huge because we don't get a lot of funding directly from the federal government. But the uncertainty is huge, obviously, and I'm worried about the state, where our money flows from, and the county, and a lot of our nonprofits. So just because it doesn't hit our budget directly a ton, there's a lot of reason for concern. Federal funding and what that means for our community. And lastly, just a few ways that we hope that we can work together with the business community and all of you. We're doing great. We're so lucky to have tourism and hotels and wine and food. We're not going to back away from that. But we also have, a number of you are in this room, a lot more than that, a lot more than people realize. We're always trying to cultivate that and diversify our economy. I mentioned before, we have what we call the South Entry area. It's pretty much a blank slate right now. A huge opportunity. Don't know what that's going to look like. And we hope many of you can join us on the journey of figuring that out. And the last thing, I'll try to wrap up 2 seconds on, but it's a big topic. I just feel compelled to mention is that it's just at a time right now where trust in government and government sentiment is out there. I don't want to whine. I don't want to sound defensive. I'm not asking you all to suddenly embrace governance because I asked for it. But it's something palpable I've noticed that's changed in recent years. And I think it's something that affects all of us. It's not just those of us in City Hall who take a different tenor from the community, some of our staff, a little bit more abuse. I think it's important for us all to invest in how we're working together, how we're reminding ourselves that we're the community city government, and that's for all of us cities. And it's a change I've noticed in the words a little bit. I just ask all of you to be mindful of that, and hopefully we'll work together. I think that's it.
All right. This next speaker hails from a city that I grew up in. I'm excited to introduce Peggy from Petaluma. Peggy Flynn has served as city manager of Petaluma since 2019, becoming the city's first female manager. Yeah, that's cool, right? With over 30 years of public service, she's led major initiatives in redevelopment, public engagement, and infrastructure. Under her leadership, Petaluma has passed Measure U, opened its second smart station, and launched the North Bay's first 24/7 mobile response team. A lifelong resident, Peggy lives on her family's 5th generation cattle ranch in West Petaluma. Come on up, Peggy, we're happy to hear from you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having all of us. As I was putting this presentation together, I realized that Petaluma is a city of a lot of firsts. We're the first city to put an urban growth boundary in. We recently did a lottery selected panel for our fairgrounds visioning, and we were the first city in the United States to convene such a large lottery selected resident panel. And we were also one of the very few first cities to win a cool city $1 million grant for climate action. So really proud of the city that I have had the honor of serving as city manager since 2019. So current priorities, this is just a smattering because I think when I first started it was in 2019 we were facing a fiscal cliff. We were going to either pass a revenue measure, which we had 2 failed sales tax attempts, or we were going to file bankruptcy. So we have changed that trajectory, and there was just a plethora of work to do. $200 million worth of deferred maintenance, and if you've ever driven on Petaluma Road, roads. I'm very sorry. We've had the worst roads in the Bay Area for many, many years. And we are finally hitting fair, which is in pavement condition index. We're making progress. We will have invested $55 million in our roads in 5 years. So we are currently working on our general plan update and our zoning code update. And for economic development, that is so essential because our zoning code update has not been updated for 2 general plan cycles. So our core planners at our counter have to crosswalk our zoning code to apply it to current times. We are also working on our very first public safety building, the first in many, many decades, and that will be in the center of our city on our fairgrounds property. We are working on our master plan for our fairgrounds. We are, I mentioned the paving, but also some very critical infrastructure that you don't see. Our affluent pipe that we are a full service city, by the way, even above Santa Rosa because we run our own ambulance service, but we have a water treatment plant and we have no backup for that affluent pipe. So we are working on some redundancy for that system. We're constantly working on fiscal and organizational sustainability and housing for all. That is the only way we're going to have a healthy economy. This is a rendering of our public safety facility. It'll be a $69 million facility that will house both fire and police. We're currently, we had the privilege of getting our river dredged 4 years ago, and you will see that we are currently getting a maintenance dredging right now through November 30th. We are focused on, when I first came to Petaluma, we did not have a community development department. We had very separate departments, so building was separate, housing was separate, planning was separate. We fortified that and created a community development department and now have a business concierge service. So for people that want to come in, pull permits, we're working with property owners to tenant buildings throughout our city, and we also have pre-approved ADU plans to work on our housing. Again, more safe streets, focusing on multimodal transportation in our city. We have also focused on creating transit options for our city. We run our own transit agency. We do have now a microtransit, and right now our transit is fare free, and we've seen a 60% increase in ridership on our transit. Homelessness in Petaluma, over last year we have reduced our homelessness population, or getting folks housed, by 20%. And when I first got to Petaluma, I think I met with COTS my first month, and Chuck said, I said, Chuck, how can we help you? He said, well, you're helping. He said, you give us $25,000 a year from CDBG funds. And that was a sobering comment, because at this point we are spending about $4 million annually on homelessness. We received $10 million over 2 encampment grants from the state. We have our shelter. We now have, through ARPA funds, we built our interim housing, or called People's Village, which is proximate to COTS. And then we also have the motel conversion. And a big part of our strategy has been the permanent supportive housing that we're building. And we will be breaking ground on 130 units at our second smart station here in a month. So housing for all, I'm going to show you some boring charts, but this is Petaluma from the time I got to Petaluma till now. We have really diversified our revenue sources. Measure U is our 1-cent sales tax. We would also benefit from Measure H, which is our fire tax, which has allowed us transit occupancy tax. We're not rating TOT like Healdsburg, but we're trying to get there. So it is, all of our revenues have kind of flattened, like the other cities, but we're really trying to diversify our reliance by really trying to jumpstart the economy. Our general fund revenues have risen significantly in the last 5 years, which has allowed us to really invest in Sierra Capital Improvement Program has more than tripled since 2016, 2017, and our 5-year is a $500 million CIP. We have a lot of old infrastructure. And what I would say is Business Alliance does a great job advocating, and we really need to hear your voice. All the cities need to hear your voices in our community as we try to jumpstart, as we try to catalyze our economy and encourage development. We do get a lot of pushback, whether it's a hotel downtown or trying to create jobs in our city. And so it's really important to hear your voices and partner with us and give us your, your thoughts on how best to make it easier to do business in our city. So thank you very much.
Okay, next on the docket, we have David Ewan, City Manager of Sonoma. David Ewan currently serves as City Manager for the City of Sonoma, California. He has more than 2 decades of experience in local government, including roles as Assistant City Manager, Planning and Economic Development Director, Interim Public Works Director, and Water Director. That's a lot of directors. Before joining Sonoma, David served as Executive Director of the Federated Indians of Great and Range Korea, overseeing day-to-day operations of the tribal government. I immediately went to Yellowstone in my head. But David, welcome to the stage.
Thank you for having us back. This is great. I think last year we had a good time, and we appreciate you wanting to hear us again. I'm going to start reverse. I'm going to start with the budget. I think that's kind of top of mind for us, top of mind for what we're dealing with. We thought of, I think the word of the year this year was success. Is that right? But it should have been uncertainty. Yeah, I promise my 10-year-old this. But I think really we were thinking it's uncertainty. Everything we were thinking was up in the air. So good news and bad news on the budget front for City of Sonoma. We spent the past year taking ourselves out of the structural deficit. Last year I showed a slide with a bunch of red. So this year we're happy that actually last year's slideshow. I don't know, slideshow. Okay, so we been moving ourselves out of a structural deficit. We did that a couple different ways, which was hiring a new CFO, investing our funds, reducing the expenditures, and then our community banded together and passed a sales tax measure for us back in November, which was huge for us. So that was a big deal. We are at the whims of various incomes that we get. So as you just heard, we have property tax, sales tax, TOT. We are a tourist economy, so we do rely a lot on TOT. Unfortunately, it's been a weird time right now with the economy, tariffs, and everything going on, that our TOT and our high-end restaurants, high-end hotels are actually doing really well. Our sales tax, which is day-to-day living expenses, are going way down, and we're seeing that drop. So we're seeing what's happening in the economy right now between the two, kind of especially the high end and people that are just trying to get by. So we're seeing that through our revenue numbers right now. That's not sustainable as a community. And then on top of that, we have the uncertainty of the federal funds that filter down to the state, down to the county, to us. When those start to go away, those get disrupted, the cities have to try to figure out how we're going to make up that difference and how we're going to work with the county and others to continue to provide those services. So we're going to be dipping into our reserves, reprioritizing things to try to help make up those gaps, which will change our future outlook as we move forward. So it's just a reality of what we're all dealing with in terms of our budgets. The expenditure side, we have typical government services. Like most, public safety is a large piece of our budget. It's general fund, comes out of our general fund. So that's something that we are continuing to work with, is figure out how do we keep those in line so we can maintain all these other services that we provide in our community. It's a struggle for local governments to find that. And there's a really cool graph that shows that. And then, so if you can visualize this is great. This is a good time. I'm halfway through my presentation, don't worry. I'm not going to redo it, I promise. Trying to think what the next slide was. I think it had something to do with, we're in the general plan process right now, which I think a lot of people are. So we're redoing our general plan for the city, which is a unique opportunity. We have a lot of properties. We have a 20-acre site in our city, not as large as Jeff just mentioned in Phillipsburg, but the old Sebastiani property in Sonoma, which is in the city limits. They don't produce wine there anymore, so it's a huge opportunity owned by Foley. That could be something different. So we're having those conversations right now, community, about what can we do, what kind of housing, what kind of industry, economic development opportunities can we identify there. We're also working with our churches and schools to look at overlays to build housing, work on kind of going around with state laws that aren't really doing what we need them to do. We're creating our own overlays that will allow certain developments, higher intensities that can happen on church sites and our school sites. Unfortunately, when they start talking about closures, we want to give them as much flexibility as possible in this conversation. The next slide is a really cool picture of, I think it's, but so we're looking at activating spaces. So one of the things that we've identified is the city owns a lot of certain spaces. So we have amphitheater spaces, properties that we own that aren't utilized. So that's something we're trying to activate. How do we actually generate revenue, utilize it for community benefit, and get those where we're doing weddings and events and other things that the community wants. And so we're looking at doing that as well. Next slide was something, and then there was other really cool stuff that someone was doing. New trash cans, is that what somebody said? We have a duck pond. My 10-year-old son watches our council meetings. He says, all you do is talk about duck ponds and bike racks, and I say, new trash cans. That's been my job. So the other thing that I think one of the things that we brought up, and we've heard this multiple times, is what do we need from you? We get a lot when we start talking about expanding development, economic opportunities, building housing. We're doing everything we can to do that. We spent the past year revamping our services similar to what you're hearing here. Streamlining processes. We heard the same things. Don't go to Sonoma. Don't build in Sonoma. I think that's a common thing. I heard that somewhere. But the goal is to try to figure out how to change that dialogue. So we need your help. Like if you're hearing that, call us. Pick up the phone. You can talk to any one of us. We beg you to call us and say, are you hearing something wrong? Give us a chance to fix it, or address it, or explain it. And so we are in the process right now doing the same thing as Sonoma, working through our process, fixing and streamlining. And now the housing development is moving forward. I think we have 100, I think the slide said 150 or 140 units currently active. We have probably another 400 that have worked through the pipeline. So that's changed over the past year. Developers are starting to see that we're serious about that we do want to develop, we will streamline, we do want to get stuff built. But we do hear the negative, right? We hear that constantly. So what can you do? Show up. Heard that before. We need to hear voices. We need to hear, yes, we do want to see these things happen in our community. Yes, it might be next door to me. That's okay. We want to hear it for housing. We want to hear it for events. We brought Transcendence into town. We heard some pushback on that. So just trying to do things that we get pushback. So show up, show support, show that we do want to see these things happen in our communities, and that would be a big help to us.
We have pretty pictures.
Oh, that's okay. So that was, that's the wonderful slide, the presentation I had for today. Thank you.
I mean, I feel like I just watched him like tap dance, right? That was amazing. Watching him totally wing it and know what he was talking about. All right. Okay, our next speaker is Jason Nutt, Assistant City Manager of Santa Rosa. Jason has served with the city of Santa Rosa for the past 10 years, including 6 years as assistant city manager. Prior to that, he was acting director of recreation and parks and director of transportation and public works. Before joining Santa Rosa, Jason worked as deputy director of transportation and operations for the county of Sonoma and director of public works for the city of Novato. He holds a BS in civil engineering from Santa Clara University and is a licensed professional engineer in both civil and traffic engineering. Let's welcome Jason to the stage.
All right, good morning. I'm excited to be here with you today. As you can hear, engineers rule. We've got several of them in the leadership roles here. My conversation with you is going to be similar to the types of messages that you've been hearing from the other cities. And we really do start with budget. Budget has been our primary conversation over the last several years, and it will continue to be a primary conversation moving forward. Some of the key pieces I want to identify for you are, we're $517 million total budget. That includes our enterprise fund, so $215 million of that is our general fund. And going into this last fiscal year, we were about a $13.5 million structural deficit. Now our council took huge steps over the course of this budget year to try to rectify that, and they were able to make huge adjustments to make us have a balanced budget in the end. Things like they took some one-time funds away from projects that were we were interested in trying to move forward, but they brought those back to try to fill some of that structural deficit. They also looked at mid-year budget reductions in the amount of about $4 million, and then, of course, some of the important aspects of our last revenue measures, Measure E and FF, were able to demonstrate beneficial remedy for part of that structural deficit as well by adding additional $3.7 million into our budget moving forward. So in the end, we were able to actually see kind of a net positive going into closing out our books this October, which kind of seems a little strange. You've got a big structural deficit, you've been talking a lot about budget, but you ended up with a positive. A lot of those positives are one-time funds. So what it's doing is it's not necessarily solving our structural deficit, but it's buying us time. One of the key pieces that we ended up finding was the revenue stream that we saw from our investment strategy just like peaked. The economy on the stocks and bonds are doing extremely well right now. So we actually, while we budget $600,000 a year for our revenue, our interest revenue, we saw almost $5 million for this fiscal year come in. And that was a huge component of trying to add into our reserves and fill some of that structural hole. But this is the sobering part of this. If we, the city, don't do anything further, we will find that we run out of reserves in 2029. And so council is not taking this lightly, and they're continuing to look at various options to try to identify how we can fill that structural deficit today and into the future years. Because we've done a great job of buying time, we've done a great job of trying to reevaluate organizational structure, looking at our fee structures. Even last night, we talked not only about permit fee structures, but parking fee structures, trying to come up with different ways to ensure that we have a far more balanced budget that has that rides on the coats of good and efficient operation of the organization. Now, what are we doing outside of that? That was the sobering part, so thanks for letting me get through all of that. What are we doing on the back end while we're working through those budgets? Our economic development team is really starting to pick it up and do phenomenal work. We've got a lot of downtown investment occurring. We've started to move some of our surplus properties. You may have read in the paper, we recently entered into an exclusive negotiating agreement to redevelop Lot 7, which is the surface parking lot sandwiched between the post office and the downtown library. That's looking to be about a 390-unit affordable housing complex focused on workforce housing. And we're really excited to see a new developer come into town that's going to assist us in really opening up kind of our market. That is just the tip of the iceberg. There are many other projects in the downtown focused on reactivating city properties. in an effort to try to increase our housing stock, but also increase the economic value of our downtown. We're also actively working on bringing professional men's and women's soccer to town. We've been working with United Soccer League on site identification, working on what financial aspects look like for bringing this great and cool opportunity to not just to Santa Rosa, but Sonoma County in general. And as you may have heard, back on October 17th, the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors and the Fair Board got together and requested or agreed to participate in part of that discussion at the request of the City Council. And so we'll be having a much broader conversation about opportunity sites that exist within the city limits to try to see if we can land professional soccer coming here. Earlier this spring, our economic development team and planning and economic development folks went out to Las Vegas and ended up going to the ICSC conference. We were super excited to hear the level of interest for new businesses, retailers, and commercial ownerships that want to locate not just in Sonoma County, but in Santa Rosa specifically. And we're continuing to work with those operators to try to bring some of those new businesses to town. We are excited also to see Dave & Buster's open up in Q1 of 26. You know, a lot of our communities, we don't have late night opportunities, and so Dave & Buster's will provide Sonoma County and Santa Rosa with a great opportunity to see more and more activities late at night from an entertainment perspective for adults. Montgomery Village is a shopping center, is killing it. They're bringing a ton of new businesses in. As you can tell, I don't shop anthropology, so for those of you who notice the Y is not right, it should be an IE, but we'll move beyond that. But they're seeing the Fiore show up there, which is a great amenity, and then the Apple Store will be moving into that space here very soon. PF Chang's is located in the downtown plaza, and we're hoping they're working through their building permits right now. We expect to see great news and more news coming out from them soon. And then last, on the economic development front, we're super excited that Council has given us the authority to begin evaluating the potential of an entertainment district. An entertainment district will give us more of a free and open beverage carry through spaces in our downtown. We're looking at doing a pilot program in and around Ross Street, which is a one-way street. It's kind of small and isolated, sandwiched between Press Democrat building and what is now the downtown Cooperage, and looking to see if that can generate an additional level of excitement that we might be able to expand in other portions of our downtown. So keep your eyes out open for that. It's going to be an exciting thing for us. The other piece is, you've heard a lot about capital investment here from the other cities. We are currently working through about $100 million worth of investment on the street today, and coming up, we've got another $100 million. About another $100 million that's about to go out to bid. In fact, last night, the city manager announced that the US 101 bicycle and pedestrian overcrossing project, which is about a $45 million capital investment, went out to bid. It's on the street as of yesterday. We're super excited to see that happen. That's a project that's a long time coming. Believe me, it's 20 years in the making for some of us who started with it. The other pieces you'll see is we're gonna do a ribbon cutting for the Kern Avenue interchange here in December. Again, it's like 20 years worth of effort that some of us have been working on. And then also excited to see some groundbreaking efforts. We're building a new fire station down on Kern Avenue, as well as the Roseland Regional Library branch. It's gonna be a huge investment and a great thing for our community in Southwest Santa Rosa. I'm also happy to announce that as of October, we have officially closed out the Tubbs fire when it comes to FEMA. From a public infrastructure perspective, all of those projects have now reached completion, and we are now working through the closeout process. There are 2 non-FEMA projects that are still prepared to go out to bid. We expect those to occur here by the end of the year, which is the Hopper Avenue corridor reconstruction project and the rehabilitation of Fountain Grove Parkway and Bicentennial. And then 2 other quick things. We are looking at the Jennings Crossing. I know that we've got friends of SMART here. We've been negotiating on the terms and agreements with SMART. We believe we are finally at a place where we can start taking something to our board of directors and the city council. And so we're hopeful that we'll be able to finally see conclusion on that. And then we can all stop talking about Jennings Avenue Crossing, except to say that it's open and ready for operation and people using it. And then lastly, a long time in the making, Calistoga Road is ready to go and be resurfaced so that we can see what has been a long time problem on the east side of town turned into a great street. Now, I'm leaving the slides here because I want you to see all the great things going on. But the questions that are still remaining are what's standing in the way. And there's a few things, right? I talked a lot about the sobering component of our budget. You saw the slide that says by fiscal year 29, if we don't take additional action, we will still find ourselves at a zero reserve or below reserve balance in our budget, which is really problematic for us. And so that is a key piece, is trying to find a way of demonstrating fiscal solvency moving forward in the future. You're going to see council take significant actions over the course of the next 6 months to try to identify ways with which we can create either that additional revenue or additional organizational efficiencies that will help balance that long-term budget. The other piece is, we also heard from the other cities, homelessness is on the right path. It's trending down. We're getting great results from the activities we've done countywide, but more needs to be done because as we start to see these fiscal challenges, it's some of those activities we're having to cut back on in an effort to create those balanced budgets. And then the other piece of what's standing in the way, I am here. My city manager, Markeisha Smith, is not here. Because as you're all aware, Markeisha is leaving the city. She's working her way towards Sacramento, to a phenomenal opportunity for her out there. Very sad to see her go, but an executive search is going to need to be done. And in light of some of the activities going on within Santa Rosa from a budgetary perspective, this is a component of a challenge that the council has sitting in front of them to identify that next executive leader to move us in the right direction moving forward. And then last but not least, the question of how we can partner. Really, it's to be partners in our concept of how are we going to balance our budget. It may involve revenue measures. It may involve organizational restructuring that changes how we provide services. But it's dire and important for us to move forward with that. And so we really look for you to be a partner. As you heard from City Manager Kuhn, don't hesitate to reach out and ask us questions. It's important. We have to hear from you because you are the ones that are going to help make some of these activities happen for us to the benefit of the Santa Rosa community. And then last but not least, visit downtown. Our downtown, their downtown. With the things that we're doing in our economic development front, downtown is going to be one of the leading areas of our economic boom as we start to see things rise with the initiatives that we're putting in place. And so thank you very much for letting me come up and kind of give you an update for the city of Santa Rosa, and I appreciate it.
Okay, a couple of quick announcements. After our final speaker, we are going to have some Q&A time. So think of that question that you would like to ask one of our city managers and be prepared to ask in front of the crowd so we can all get some good answers. Secondly, if all the city managers would please stay behind right as the meeting is over, please come up to the stage for a quick photograph. Okay, our final speaker of the day is my city manager, Marcella Pedra from Rohnert Park. Marcella brings over 25 years of municipal management experience and a steadfast commitment to good governance, fiscal responsibility, and community engagement. She served as city manager, deputy city manager, community services director, director of economic development, and redevelopment manager, leading projects generating over $100 million in investment, 500 jobs, and 300 affordable housing units. Appointed city manager of Rohnert Park in October of 2022, Marcella oversees all city operations and implementation of city council policy. She holds an MBA from the University of Phoenix, a BA in international business from San Diego State, cum laude with distinction, very cool, and an AA in business administration. Let's welcome my city manager, Marcella Pedra.
Well, good morning, everybody. say thank you for being here. It's really nice to be able to be here along with my colleagues from Sonoma County and just listen to all the amazing work and challenges that we've heard that we're all facing. And as you will see also in my presentation, there's common themes. And why is that, right? We all are serving the public. I mean, at the end of the day, we're in the customer service business. We're here to serve our community. Whether you're a resident, you're a visitor, or a business, we are here to serve you. And what our job really is to be able to make our communities better. I mean, we're all looking for community prosperity. In Rohnert Park, really when we look at what areas, what is in the horizon for us, and again, you'll see the common theme with the other cities that we have here in Sonoma County, is really that the City Council for the past 2 years has been focusing on 4 major pillars or priorities. And those are long-term financial sustainability. We've been hearing a lot about budgets, right? Well, just like you and your business, we really can't do much if we don't have money. I tell the council this, in order for us to do our job, there's only 2 things we need. One is money and the other is people. And so if we don't have that, then we're challenged, right? And so for us, for the city of Rohnert Park, during this fiscal year that we're currently in, we have to face a budget deficit. We have to do reductions. And because as you heard from my fellow colleagues, there's been flat revenues. Our major funding source for the general fund is sales taxes, TOT, and also property taxes. When we look at those general fund revenues in Rohnert Park, our property taxes have been stable. Why is that? In the past 5 years in Rohnert Park, there's been over 1,000 housing units that have been built. And so we're very fortunate that we have that. I know, Damien indicated in Cotati, people want housing. Well, that's the same thing for us. Obviously, public safety is the #1 priority when you look at a community. We want to make sure that our police and fire show up when we need them. But next to that too, and obviously roads is very important, but also housing. Obviously for Rohnert Park, we are known as a family-friendly city, and we have some major housing projects that are taking place. If you have been into our city, you see that that is occurring in our city. Obviously, the next thing is our community quality of life. One of the major projects, and I know our mayor, when he introduced himself, he talked about our downtown. That's our 28-acre site that we are right now. We have an exclusive negotiating agreement with CenterCap. They are a developer from Southern California, and they fit what our community has told the council that we want to see in our Rohnert Park, in Rohnert Park. A mixed-use development that includes housing, and obviously retail, and also a major community place where we can have community events. Our city is able to do many amazing community events, but we want to be in the heart of our city. And so our downtown, we're very excited. In fact, on November 18th, we will be presenting to the City Council a term sheet. So that's the first phase for us to get into a disposition and development agreement. At that point, we are working with CenterCal to be able to come up with how that project is going to be developed and when it's going to be developed. So we're very, very excited about that. Housing, we're very, very happy, and I'm glad to hear that Burbank is here as a representative. As you probably read in the newspaper, we got $28 million from the Home Key program, and that just helps us. It's going to be the creation of 71 permanent housing units for seniors and veterans. So we're very excited to be able to have that funding, especially right now during a time when it's very difficult to be able to access state or federal funding sources. We're very, very pleased to be able to partner with Burbank on this project. And of course, there's a different, just a high number of market rate housing that's taking place. We talked about planning and infrastructure. We're also in the process of updating our general plan. We're also in the process of improvement our pavement condition index. I think it was Damien or Peggy that indicated once you get to a point where your roads are in such bad shape, it is very hard to bring them back. For us, in order to at least be able to have a 69 pavement condition index, which is about fair, we have to invest annually $5 million. Right now in Rohnert Park, we have about $20 million of deferred maintenance when it comes to roads. And when you think about it, in our communities, roads, our streets are our major asset that we have. We have a lot of buildings, but really it is our streets that is the major asset and the one that obviously is very expensive to be able to maintain. And then organizational well-being. And I think it was Jeff, the one that mentioned about just how it is for us in government right now. And at the end, there's obviously something that I'm gonna share, kind of similar to what Jeff said about the trust in local government. For us, it's very important that we look at organizational well-being. There probably hasn't been a time when we have seen the loss of employees either to other agencies, right, or to retirement. People are just tired. They're tired. We see it coming, and we understand sometimes if people had a very unpleasant experience with a government employee, or you felt that we felt short of delivering service, our people are seeing it, and they're human. We're all human. And so that is taking a toll, and we're seeing that. And so, we're seeing this exodus of people getting out of government, just like I'm sure you are in your private business. So it's a really difficult time. So for us, we are trying to make sure that our organization is healthy so that we can in turn deliver that service that you're all looking for from your local government. So it's kind of standing in the way, right? So I talked about deferred maintenance, which is one of the biggest ticket items. A lot of times when we are looking at our budgets, right? I mean, for us, we have a budget of $150 million. But when 65% of that is basically restricted money, it is very difficult, to operate. And so a lot of times, the first thing you sacrifice is deferred maintenance. You don't end up investing on repairing the roof at your city hall. I mean, I'm lucky because now we're doing it right now. But for years, that project was deferred. And so, again, roads, right? I mean, your buildings, this is the first thing that you sacrifice when you are looking at balancing budgets and being able to deliver public services. For us, in the near term, we have over $180 million of deferred maintenance that we have to address. We just completed our Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And we have more than 100 acres of parkland. Of course, if you've been to our city, you know that we have some beautiful green spaces, but it comes with a cost. We have to replace playgrounds. We have to do ADA improvements. And so with our Parks and Recreation Master Plan, we have to invest $98 million if we want to upgrade our parks and facilities. So that's a big investment. We did a building condition assessment. We have to invest more than $40 million, and that's in, 2022 when the city completed that building condition assessment. So the longer we prolong that investment, the more it's gonna cost us. And so it costs us not to be able to address these areas. Also, we obviously have lost and will be losing some federal and state funding sources, just like Jeff from Hillsburg said, we also lost a federal grant to do some water improvements. So what happens now is when we are looking at, and I'm sure you all read and heard, we're in the process of increasing our water rates. We just updated our sewer water rates. People, they struggle with that, especially when they're paying more for housing, more for groceries. But guess what? We have to address water lines. We have to address sewer lines. People may not see that, but we do need that. And so it is very important, and that's what affects it. If we end up not being able to get another funding source that we are hoping we get from FEMA, guess what? That lack of $7-8 million grant that we're not going to get is going to be reflected in the water rate that's going to go to our residents. So that's been a major challenge for us. For us, we have been fortunate that even though we've had some business closures, several business closures these past 2 years, we've had some businesses come back. I mean, I think I heard there was a representative from Centerline here, which is the major renovation of the former theater in Rohnert Park. That's a big investment. And so they did take that, and now it's going to be converted to a pickleball area. So for those of you who like pickleball, please come to Rohnert Park. It's a beautiful facility, but we're happy that they're going in and reinvesting in our community. That's what we hope that we see. We don't want to see vacant buildings because they don't generate any revenue for us. We also are looking at loss of local jobs. Look at what's happening to the school districts, layoffs, even in the private sector. All of that affects our economy. If you as a business owner are not healthy and our residents are not healthy in terms of their income, then we suffer because they're not spending more. We're seeing they're not going to restaurants that much. Even with the TOT, people are not traveling. They don't. Obviously, we're in California. We know how people feel right now about California or just the U.S. in general. So, there's just a lot of different variables that we are dealing with as communities. And so we're really looking at all these things very closely so that we can adjust our budgets and not get to a point where we really, really sacrifice the delivery of services to our residents. Our TOT, we talked about that. People are not, traveling as much. And really, we've seen them basically little to no economic growth. And again, it's just a feeling of what is happening with people losing jobs and just really struggling to just be able to even bring food to the table. So how can you support us? So one of the biggest things which I have to say that you guys are, as our business community, are really, really doing a great job of investing and supporting your local economies. So last year, we had the North Bay Biz did a highlight on Warner Park. And so when we were putting together this special edition from the North Bay that they wanted to highlight Rohnert Park, we went out to our business community, and I see Matt out there, and actually he's the first one that placed the ad on this magazine. This is the kind of support that we need, that if we approach you for a community sponsorship, for a community event, and you're really good at that. I mean, obviously you guys are celebrating 50 years tomorrow. You have a lot of the support. Please continue doing that. And it's not just financial, it's also your time. For us as a city, we have so many boards and commissions that you can be part of. Sometimes we struggle trying to find people. I know you're volunteering your time, but it's also you're being part of the landscape of the transformation of a community. So think about that. It's not just economic, but it's also your valuable time. So invest in your community. If you're looking at investing, if you want to grow, look at Sonoma County first. And it doesn't matter whether it's in Rohnert Park or Healdsburg or Sonoma or Cotati, we all benefit as a region. So try to keep your dollars here. I mean, there's nothing more that gives us pleasure. I mean, we had the recent opening of the Home 2 Suites. This is their second hotel in Rohnert Park. And when I asked the owners, why are you guys doing this here? You had choices. We are happy that you're here, but why Rohnert Park? He says, we just love this community and we want to stay here and we want to invest our dollars here. That's what we want to hear, because what does that do? It creates the jobs, which is my second point, right? When you think about it, our small businesses, I mean, the entrepreneurial spirit of our community is incredible. I mean, here in the United States, more than 60% of the jobs that are created by small businesses. And so for us as government, and you heard it from my colleagues, we want to make sure that we support that we're not a barrier. That if there is an issue, please tell us so that we can try to rectify it. Forming public-private partnerships. We cannot do this alone. We never have attempted to do it alone. We talked about the success of homelessness. You know why we have been successful in doing that? It is because of the partnership with the county. It has been with the partnership with the nonprofits, the private sector. That's the reason we've been able to be successful. For us, we operate without landing. We don't operate that. We have a nonprofit, Home First, that does that for us. We cannot do it alone. Why were we successful in getting $28 million from the state? Because we partnered with Burbank. They are the experts in being able to handle that. So that's why we are successful, because of those partnerships with nonprofits. I mean, right now, because of limited resources, what are you seeing? You're seeing even nonprofits working with nonprofits. Why? Because we have to stretch our dollars. For us, we are so fortunate that we are neighbors with the Federated Indians of Great Rancheria. In fact, they give us an annual allocation. So we really cherish that relationship with them, because they are a strong investor in our community and they care about our community. Sonoma State University, I mean, with our neighbor with Cotati, last year we were able to do a memorandum of understanding between the three entities, and why we're trying to promote economic development. I mean, so we are just looking for ways to partner not only with our private sector business community, but also nonprofits, so that we can bring our resources and be more successful and really create that success and address the needs of the community. And then the other thing, and I know it's been mentioned before, outreach to us. Don't be afraid to come in and pick up the phone and call us. We need to hear what's going on. We cannot change things. I tell our residents, because sometimes they say, well, Marcel, I don't want to call you to complain about this pothole. I said, you know what, you need to call me, because we are probably not driving through that street. You are our eyes and ears of what's happening in the community. You need to be able to approach us and tell us what is going on. We can't fix a problem if it's not brought to us. So please outreach to us. And then the last thing, is trust local government. There probably hasn't been a time right now that there's been that erosion of public trust. And it could be many things, right? It could be that we didn't respond, to a need you had, or there's a view that maybe there's incompetence at City Hall or with our local government employees. There's really been that, and we've seen that more and more. And it's understandable. We know there's a lot of issues that are going on. But please trust your local government. We're all trying to do the best job possible, just like you are trying to manage your business. We are trying to do the best with the resources that we have. And so that is very important. I talked earlier about how our employees feel. Think about it, when somebody comes in to the counter and starts yelling at them. Just think about how that makes them feel. I always tell our employees, I said, counter that, because we do and are very fortunate, and we celebrate when somebody takes the time to tell us thank you. And we've had quite a few of those. When somebody calls in or sends me an email or says, you know what, your staff did a great job. I personally go over there and tell that employee, because I know that maybe the day before they got beaten up because of another issue. So trust your local government. Again, thank you so much for having us here. We really, really thank you for having an interest in what's going on in your cities here in Sonoma County. We really thank you for all that you're doing out there in the community, supporting jobs and making sure that we are also a community that really prospers. So thank you again for having us.
All right. Let us be the first to give a big round of applause to all our city managers. Thank you so much collaboration and camaraderie really brings hope to the success to come. So thank you guys for that. If we could get our city managers all over here at this table so we could pass the mic around really easy. If there are any questions in the audience, now's the time. All right, we have time for just a few. So I'm going to start over here. We're going to go 1, 2, and in the back 3 if we can make it.
Jason Nutt, when you were talking about parking, adjusting parking fees and all that, it made me think about is there a trade-off, what do you call it, economic elasticity between parking fees and sales tax revenues? They kind of work against one another?
Well, I'll see if I can be loud enough.
Sorry, we have another Ryan. There you go. Thanks, Ryan.
So to some extent, the answer is yes. However, right, depending upon the municipality and how you're actually addressing the patronage into your downtown, paid parking can actually be a valuable benefit, right? Because it allows for constant movement of those vehicles. And so you don't have employees, for example, parking all day in front of a retail establishment. You're moving those vehicles on a regular basis, which is allowing more people to come into town. So from an elasticity perspective, yes, there is definitely a combination or a connection between parking and economic vitality in the downtown. We hear a lot that that's not necessarily the most popular answer, but it is something that our studies, and we've been doing this a lot over the last several decades, has demonstrated that for our community in particular, that it is actually working in tandem and continuing to provide that type of economic vibrancy in our downtown.
It's been hinted on to the sales tax and shopping local as we're hitting November and December, and our Amazon carts are already full of what we're going to buy for all our grandkids. We're all busy. Could somebody just talk about the real impact on our communities, bringing businesses in, sales tax revenues for not shopping local, please?
And we'll try to keep it concise so that we can get as many questions as possible.
At the end of the day, we're looking for convenience. As consumers, we're looking for convenience. But, look locally first. If there is an option for you to be able to purchase first, because think about it, what you're supporting is the job. I mean, when I think about, like Walmart and all, some of these stores, right? You literally have to check yourself out now, right? And why is that, right? They're trying to cut back expenses. And so, what I would suggest is that if you have an opportunity, I understand it's convenient to be able to be on your computer, be at home and not go out anywhere. But just think about what that decision is doing for your local economy. I mean, at the end of the day, we do get very little, you know, from, right, for us colleagues. I mean, we do get some, you know, potential sales tax, but it's very minimal compared to what we could get if you were to go in and go shop with a regular brick and mortar store. I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything.
Yeah, good point, Marcella. The only other thing that I would say is this Amazon effect has also changed the face of retail about their footprint. So we are seeing, and we're trying to be very creative about pop-up retail and creating, you know, for the holidays to allow people to set up shop, even temporarily, to be able to generate that local revenue.
This is a question for any or all of you. Every single one of you mentioned and emphasized that fiscal issues are really weighing on your city. And you mentioned, it was widely mentioned that TOT and sales tax are huge sources of revenue, but only two of you mentioned property taxes, and only really to say that they exist. So I'm curious, why aren't you thinking about property taxes as a source of revenue? And if you are, why are you, what are the obstacles to potentially raising property taxes to fill those budget holes? You know, if you think about it, all the property values are doing great, and a big reason they're doing great is because of the spending that cities are doing in order to provide services, provide infrastructure.
I'll be your bodyguard on the way out.
Part of the reason property tax is the biggest source for a lot of the cities, part of the reason you don't hear about it from us is because it's stable. Prop 13 from 1978 allows the property tax goes up 2% every year. That's good. It's not just above inflation, but it means that it's not doing what TOT, which is a hotel tax or sales tax, are doing, which is being volatile and shifting in the cycle. So it just doesn't maybe require as much mental energy from us. But if it only goes up 2% a year, that's not good. And so how does property really grow? It's by properties turning over, and then they get reassessed, right? If you sit on your house for 40 years, you're paying nothing in property tax, so it turns out you'll get some revenue. That's not really a lever the city can control though, from a policy perspective. That's not a goal to have our homes turn over. So if you want more property tax, what can you do? You can encourage more development. That's a broad conversation. I think we all do encourage smart development. But generally they say residential development gives you a boost in your property tax, and then it doesn't get reassessed for a long time, and it doesn't keep up. So it's not really a sustainable strategy. At the heart of the question though is increasing property tax. I think a lot of people have different opinions about that. I'll just be kind of candid. When you need revenue, it's not the easiest piece to go for. It is. I don't feel good ever about raising the sales tax. It's easier to get a sales tax passed. And it's clear, it can be a clear revenue fund. So you can't raise property taxes per se, that's set by Prop 13. You can add an assessment, but that's a tough sell. School districts will get away with it sometimes on bonds for infrastructure. On this whole issue of trust and community sentiment, I'd rather be a school district asking for a bond than a city government asking for it. So it just doesn't tend to be the feasible and
I was surprised to find out recently from a couple of city council members in Santa Rosa that the cities get almost nothing from online shopping. With all due respect to let's shop local, the horse has left the barn, right? That's happening and it's increasing. But I was surprised to find out from them that most of that revenue goes to the area where the warehouse is. And in our case, it's American Canyon and places in East Bay and whatnot. And I heard there's some kind of move afoot in the state where cities are banding together and there's either a lawsuit or something going to be maybe on the state ballot or something. This seems like a total common sense thing to say that if the buying decision is made in Santa Rosa or in Sonoma County and the product is delivered in Santa Rosa or Sonoma County, that should be where the money comes back to. What are you guys doing about joining in with that and making that a reality? That seems like the biggest low-hanging fruit for revenues for you guys, in my mind.
All right, I'm going to start this and then I'll pass it off to others. You're absolutely right. The Amazon effect, as Peggy alluded to, has really taken shape here in California to benefit those communities that have the warehouses. And while it makes sense from a perspective of our municipalities, if you are them, if if you are the community that actually has that warehouse, they've gotten very used to that increased revenue stream. And so while they're willing to work with their partners across the state, it is still a negotiated point to try to help do some type of revenue sharing with communities where the sales tax was originally generated. And so Cal Cities and a network of cities that are in favor of pushing this forward, as well as our legislators, are trying to create language that better balances the revenue sharing for those operations.
So I'll just add, Cal Cities is the organization that we all, I think, generally use to advocate for those kind of statewide policy changes. And the sales tax, if you unbundle, like I spoke about sales tax declines, if you unbundle that, that's part of the reason why. Not to get too wonky, but the CDTFA is the one that creates rules around sales tax. And they recently created a ruling which it used to, all the sales tax from Bradley Burns, this is our normal statewide sales tax, would go to county pools and get distributed among the cities based on the percent of retail sales. The CDTFA changed the rules and said, no, we're going to take that in state distribution centers and like Amazon, and all that sales tax is now going to go to those distribution center communities, and they don't come to the city. So that's sort of bundled into part of the sales tax flat revenue conversation I think many of us were talking about. It's an ingredient in that overall issue.
So artificial intelligence, you're starting to see some organizations get real value out of its application, improving service at lower cost. Have you seen examples yet where that's hitting city government? It doesn't have to be in your city, it can be somebody you're benchmarking. What are you seeing in terms of real results?
Well, I think that all of us are embracing AI because there is an efficiency, right? So whether it is helping you with your permitting process, helping people navigate, city records. Matter of fact, Petaluma just launched Prophecy AI. We were one of 2 cities with Palo Alto to create this new internal platform just for staff to go through decades and decades of records online and be able to just synthesize, so as we write staff reports and improve efficiency there, but also as a customer service. Marcella mentioned, self-checkout. That's kind of what AI is doing for government. It's allowing us to even be more accessible.
I'll just add, I think on the permitting side, we're seeing it pretty pervasive around the country right now in terms of the first plan check, making sure everything's there, do that first push. There is and also AI is being built into a lot of software and things that we use on a daily basis, like public records request systems. Those AI is built into that already, so they're starting to implement it that way. I'd also just make a plug for GovAI, which is for now in San Jose. It's essentially an organization of city governments about AI and how they roll out AI around the country. So these calls have 200 people from around the country of different local governments. And you can jump on those and they do presentations about how people are using AI and where it's going next. So it's actually a useful tool for everyone.
Wow. Well, we're gonna wrap this puppy up like a present on Christmas. Here we go. Okay, I'm in awe. Like, what a powerful table that is. Look at all those people right there serving our communities, managing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of our tax dollars, and trying to be good stewards for all of us. You guys, thank you for being here. Let's all give them a little bit of love. Okay, to the rest of our elected officials in the room, we appreciate the hard work that you do serving us and serving our community as well. Thank you very much for being here. Please mark your calendars for tomorrow night. The question has come up, what is the attire at this fancy dinner tomorrow night? Think of it like a nice cocktail hour. Maybe it's a nice wedding outfit, but it will be an awards ceremony, so it will not be a casual event. I would be remiss to say, if you're not a current member of the Business Alliance, please sign up, become a predictable attendee, become a predictable part of the influence that we try to have within our local communities and our cities and our county at large. So on our website, there's a page that's easy to find where you can look at the tiers of engagement, and we would love to have you guys officially join. So having said all that, I'm sorry, Lisa, did you have something?
I just wanted to invite people to take the centerpieces. If you have spotted them and like them, if it's your birthday, if you're a community volunteer, consider it a United Way. Thank you, courtesy of Kevin.
That's so sweet. Thank you guys. And thank you everybody for coming. Have a good night.